Hi everyone and welcome to another video. What we're going to be looking at today, we've got obviously a Game Gear here. It's partially functional, so I'm hoping to turn this into a bit of a project piece, but at the moment there's problems with it displaying. So the display it's really difficult to see what's going on. The sound is incredibly low. And doing a little bit of research, it turns out that one of the major reasons for this, if you've watched any other retro computing things, is the capacitors. So in this instance, it seems to cause problems with a lot of the electronics within the Game Gear itself. Apparently, again, reading what some people have said about them all, the capacitors in these are apparently quite known for basically failing. So we're going to be looking at replacing those today. I'm hoping to make this into a bit of a sort of couple of parts. So the idea is that initially for this video we'll change the capacitors, so hopefully we can get this thing actually working. So the display, such as it is, I mean, it's not a fantastic display originally, but hopefully we can get that at least up and running enough. And we've got a replacement for the speaker and the amplifier for that as well. So we're going to change those in this video, and then in the next video we're actually going to be looking at replacing the screen with a third-party replacement, and then after that, depends on how well received it is and what people want. There are some other modifications to do to this. So there's something to do you can do with the power supply. So update the circuit board that does that part of it all. And also there's one I've seen where you can actually get batteries, rechargeable batteries. So you get a USB-C port on the back and then rechargeable batteries. So you don't have to worry about finding these 6 AA batteries that this thing needs. And at the moment with its standard screen will last about 3 hours. So yeah, 3 to 5, but when I was a kid, I've never found it lasted much more than about 3 if you're lucky. So on this particular one, like I say, for the first one though, we're going to look at just replacing the capacitors in this. Now I have had this apart initially already because I had to check which motherboard it was in there. There are two that, from what I understand, you've got the VA1 and VA2. So it's got 1 or 2 ASIC chips on there. This has got the 1. So I had to make sure of that because there's some of the like things like the capacitors. I had to make sure I got the right pack for it. So let's get this thing open. In fact, actually, before we do that, let me show you what it's not doing. Now, I don't have 6 AA batteries anymore, so I'm going to inject power into it. Annoyingly, the power port on the top here is, I don't know what size it is, and none of the connectors I've got actually make it work. So what I'm doing is I've got my power supply here. I've set it for 9 volts, which is your 6 AA's, and I'm just going to inject it straight into there, which is the power board is actually just behind here. So you've got negative and positive. So if let me turn our power supply on, we'll turn this on. Now I have a cartridge in there, it's columns. Reorientate that bit. So hopefully if I plug that on there, we should get power, he says. It's going to be really awkward to hold. There we go. So just see if I can see whether the, okay, so you can see, let me just turn this light off and keep it on there. So under normal sort of viewing position, this is what you get to see. However, if I tilt it backwards, you can see that it is actually, whoops, displaying there. So it is trying to display. So the unit works, assuming I can keep that. That's really awkward to hold it this way. I would never recommend this. So if we can, come on fingers, just hold it long enough. Try do it that way. Okay, so if I tilt the thing backwards so you can actually see what the screen's trying to show. From my perspective here, this is just a white screen. I'm having to look through my camera's viewfinder. So let's just try and start the game. Never remember which button it is. That'll do. Yeah, just go. Right, so now at this moment in time, this is playing music. Now you cannot hear it. I mean, I can't hear it at all. I don't know whether or not this will come through on a microphone, but let's try and... I have no idea if that's come through or not. I'll try and boost the volume up if I can. So it's painfully quiet. So yeah, that's the problem with this one. So we're going to look at replacing the capacitors in here and hopefully giving it a bit of a fresh start again. So let me just get everything reset. So once you've got those screws undone underneath the cartridge bay, is one of the security ones. Now I did buy actually only bought the bits for this. This is actually, it was a two-part. So this is a 4.5, and there's another one that came with this that it's actually designed for opening up the, or sized for opening up the cartridges for Game Boys. It might even be the same one for opening these up. So let's just undo that. I will say I'm not too bothered about the front of the screen. Normally I'd put, if I was going to worry about that, I'd put a cloth down to stop it getting scratched. You may have seen earlier that it was scratched as anything anyway. So let's take this off. Now we've got to be careful because we've got circuit boards on either side. So here we've got the power one, and this is for the audio. So let's remember how I unplug this. Here we go, I think it's this way. Unplug you, and then we've got audio connection, and then down at the corner here is for the speaker. Pull them out. So you can see here, this is where, just get that out of the way. On this particular one, forgot about that. This is the single ASIC chip, so there is another version which actually has two sitting there. So in terms of capacitors, I'm going to go and grab the picture. I'll probably put that on the screen in just a second. But it's most of things like these electrolytics we need to change, and a couple of others as well. So let me just go and grab the image so I know exactly which ones we're going to be changing on here. We've got basically all the electrolytics. So you've got that one, 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 that one. Sorry, not that one. That one, that's a diode. That one, that one, that one, and that one. Now the only one I can see that's going to be really awkward to get to is going to be this one at the top here, because the pins of it are butting up against the transformer there. So that is going to be very, very awkward to get to. Plus also, as you may be able to see, they're all square. So yeah, you can't just sort of do one leg and kind of roll it off. I'm going to experiment on some of these, but I really want to be careful because I don't want to damage the pads as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one on this side. So it should be a nice and easy one to begin with. Right, okay, let's rethink this approach because I don't want to damage it. Let me just go and have a quick look and see if anyone's got any advice on the best way to remove these. So I will be back in a moment. Okay, right, so I've got the first one off. And the way that is suggested with this is basically to flow a load of solder onto it, keep your iron so that you've got on both legs. So effectively you're heating the whole thing up, and then using tweezers to gently pull it off. Now I'm looking at this one here. It looks as if these are also, maybe it's visible here, glued down, which is a bit of a pain. So these are actually, it does look as if these are actually just normal round capacitors, but with just a plastic square jacket around the outside for, I assume, easier installation when it comes to things like the pick and place machines. But yeah, interesting enough. Okay, so I'm going to run around and get all of these off as best I can to begin with, and then we'll work from there. Oh, it's this one. I can't pull it off any longer. How on earth am I going to do you? See, the problem with this one is that this is not a connector. It's not a plug and socket anyway. It's just a straight, basically it's just holding it in place. So there's no, it's not like I can just pull that out and gain access to the other side. Right, oh, I know what I can do. Let's see if this one will fit. So I've got here a knife. What I want to try and do is I need to try and see whether I can get it in there without melting the casing of the transformer. It's going to be so difficult. None of the bits I've got, they've got this where the sort of heating element and the jacket is, so it's a bit too tight in there. Right, plan B. I wonder if I can get hot air onto that. If I add some more flux to it. The trouble is the hot air I'm risking is too tight against here, so if I hot air it, it's going to end up running the risk of melting this. I could desolder that. It's only soldered in. It's a through hole, so I could desolder it. And then that'll give me access to both sides. I think that's what I'm going to do. I am going to desolder this. And then we'll see if I can get those undone. I should be able to then access both sides of this. So let's get my desoldering tool heated up. Okay, that's not going to work. I don't know how easy this is going to be to see on the camera, but each of these legs is actually, it's barbed. So the idea being is that you'd push it in and then it clips into the circuit board. That is exceedingly annoying because it means I don't have easy access. I can't just pull them out. I might be able to, but I don't want to risk damaging it. That's the trouble. Yeah, no, okay. That's not going to work. Okay, right, so I've been able to get, I need to lift that leg up by the looks of it. I think I've got the leg up. And I think that's detached. Right, okay, with that up and out of the way, can I, if I very gently, God, this is scary. Really don't want to damage this. If I can get. Oh, hang on. Oh, I see. Got the jacket moving. Oh, that's annoying. It's stuck at the bottom end. Whether I can get underneath this. Ooh, okay. Right. Yeah, hopefully this will, if I can get it to focus. So, let's turn it around so it's actually under the light. Really need better lighting. So you've got the cover for this, which does move quite a bit. Really hard to see on the camera here, but if I can lift it up enough, I can get underneath there. So I may not get a good shot of this, but because it's really awkward. Yes! I got it off. Oh, did that refocus down there? Sorry. Oh, right, okay. So let me just desolder that and clean it up so we can have a look and see whether I've actually damaged anything. It doesn't look like it. I am reasonably hopeful there that I haven't absolutely stuffed the pads over. Perfect. Excellent. Right, so the next thing then is to replace all of them after we've done even. I'm not going to do that just yet because I'll do it after I've cleaned all this. By the way, this flux that I'm using here is technically a no clean, so that went really dark. Oh dear, no, that's bad. There we go, let's bring the exposure up. So yeah, this is a no clean flux, so technically I don't need to remove it, but it looks unsightly, so at the very least I will give this a good clean once everything's done. Okay, now replacing these things. Let's have Another quick look at our image that we need to follow. So we've got 5 100 microfarads, 5 10 microfarads and 2 1 microfarads. And obviously we've got to get them into the right places. So let us start with the 100 microfarads. So the hundreds are the one I've just removed, these two here, that one there, and that one there. So all the larger ones, unsurprisingly, because they're 100 microfarads. So the kit I've bought is from, now this may not be visible by the time I open it up because it might rip it. But I bought a kit from Retro 6. And that's, I bought that. It's not one, that's actually the speaker, by the way. I'll just show you that one. So I bought the kit here. So you've got the 100, the 10s and the 1s, but there's also 3 standard sort of electrolytics for the power board, which I will have to replace as well. So let's start with the 100s. So we'll start with the one that's caused me the most grief. A little bit of solder there. Now, because we've only got solder on there, as soon as you start heating that up, you saw the puffs of smoke, that's the flux that's built into the solder, basically just evaporating away. So because now there is no flux there, there's a little bit, but it's obviously been used. So what I'm actually going to do is just dab a little bit of my additional flux on there, grab one of these, and hope that I can position this in properly. Oh, this is going to be a real pain. So I'm going to try and get right at the tip. There's quite a stretch on this as well, so okay, there's one. And there's the other, I hope. Right, let me just check that because it is the single most awkward one and I want to make sure that I've definitely got that in the right position. So grab ye olde meter of multiness. We'll set it to continuity and annoying beepy mode. So what I'm going to do is touch the capacitor and touch the pad. And I'm good, I've got a connection. Right, the rest, theoretically, should be easy, and we'll just repeat the process. So right, okay, so that's all of them done. Next up, I'm just going to pull out the power module just so that we can replace the 3 capacitors there. In fact, let's turn my, hang on, I need to turn it back on again. So yeah, we'll replace those 3 and then we can test this again to see whether or not we're going to get any better response out of it. I'll say one thing as well, I will give Sega credit here. Most of the screws for the insides circuit boards are actually all the same, with the only exceptions to that are the ones that go into support the cartridge slots. So actually that's really good. It means it's less likely to get confusion when you come to replace things. Right, so it's just the 3 capacitors here, which we have in this little baggie. So let's get these desoldered. So yeah, bear in mind these ones. So the ones we replaced on the main board, the originals are electrolytics, so they actually have a polarization, but the ones we've replaced it with are ceramics. So We don't have to worry about orientation on those. These ones though, because they are going back in as electrolytics, there is a polarity to them. So we need to make sure where the negative marking is, which is also the shortest line, is on the white mark of the circuit board. If we get them around the wrong way, they won't work. Excellent. Right, now it's just a question of putting it all back together again. Actually, before we do that, let's see if this will work. So if I plug you back in, there we go. Let's just leave it alone. So you can actually see it actually is a lot clearer on the camera than it is on here. That's not right. So it seems to be working anyway. Right, so the only other bit we've got on here is I do have the replacement for the audio board. So we've got this one here, which is supposed to be clearer, nicer. It's got, I think, Class D amplifier, so again, it reduces power. The reason these things actually had really poor battery life is because at the time, the only real good battery technology for illuminating the LCDs was a cold cathode tube, this thing here. The actual power supply itself is generating 34 volts to be able to run this thing. So that's where the power got consumed. It was actually through the backlight. If you are happy to keep the screen, it's a bit blurry, so there are improvements to be made. But ultimately, if you want to keep the screen, some places I've seen do replacements for the backlight. So you're not replacing the screen itself, the LCD, you keep that. But you will be replacing the backlight to a LED, which will significantly increase the battery life of the thing. So there is that option. I'm going to eventually be replacing the entire screen, so we're not worrying too much about that at this moment in time. So let us, so can I test this without putting it all back in? Apparently, by the way, where's my camera? There we are. Apparently that's the magic sauce there. Oh, I love little things like that, they're great. Right, because I did buy a replacement speaker for it as well. Now we can actually hear it. So how loud does this go? Bear in mind, this is going to sound terrible, but because it's not in the case, so. That's loud. Oh, that's really loud. Ow, 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 ow. Sorry for everyone who's wearing headphones. Oh, that's very, very loud. So yeah, that is working so much better. Okay, now I'm happy that that's working. Let us get this all back into the case, get it all put back together again, and we'll see if we can actually play a game sensibly on it. Right, let's turn that down a little bit. So as you can see, we've got everything all back together again now. It's working fine. So the screen is now actually viewable. The camera always done a reasonable good job of catching it as good as the screen is or isn't, depending on how you want to look at it. But by eye, this is just so much easier to see now. So the audio, hopefully came through clearer earlier. It's remarkably clear. It's very loud. It can get really loud. Actually, it's painfully loud as well when it goes for it. So yeah, everything here has just been brilliant. Now, the only thing I haven't put into this is the replacement speaker, because the speaker is actually held in by what look to be like heat stakes on this particular unit. I don't know whether that's standard or not, so I don't want to break those without knowing how I would put them all back together again. So I haven't bothered with that. So this is still the original speaker, but the new soundboard on the inside. But yeah, as you can see, it's all working quite happily. The screen itself, oh, hang on, wait for it to get through here. It was always something that annoyed me with games that make you have to wait, especially on this particular unit, because as we said earlier, it drains batteries. So having to wait like that is really annoying, because it could basically be that the batteries are draining and you've got not a lot more you can do about it. Right, I will say I am currently playing this through my camera screen, which is already small. Oh, crikey. Darn. So yeah, I'm just making excuses as to why I'm going to be rubbish at this. Oh, there's a thingy there. Oh, extra life though, useful. So yeah, if I look at it from my perspective, looking at it from the laying on my bench here, that from my perspective is basically a white screen. I can change the contrast to make it so I could see it, but then the camera can't. So there is a real problem with these screens, that they are incredibly directional. And also you can probably see there how blurry it is as well. These are quite low response rates on these. But again, people complained about it. I can't remember whether I said this earlier in the video, but and it does get commented on about the Game Gear having a really bad screen. But the other side of it is that the the Game Boy itself had a very blurry screen. The original one did. Oh, what am I going to get? Am I going to get anything? What is? Oh, is it Robotnik? Oh yeah, it's Robotnik. Poo. So yeah, that's as far as we're going to go for this video. I think it's already been a long video anyway. So yeah, everything's working fine now. Some of the buttons, I think the pad for the start button really does need to be updated, cleaned possibly, but it's probably easier just to replace the membranes for these. So other than that though, again, we're going to do another video where I will be replacing the screen on this for a modern equivalent. So we'll get some good shots. I'll break out my macro lens so we can actually have a real look at the screens and look at the differences between them once I've got it installed. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you did like it, please give us a like. And all the usual bits and pieces when it comes to YouTube these days. So yeah, other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Whee! Oh, bugger.